time, we bring to you Dallas Cowboys Executive Vice President Stephen Jones. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, guys.
Well, we were listening intently to your press conference. Got to say, your response was great, but the line about who gets credit for Taco and Micah Parsons, we all thought was hilarious as well.
Well, as you can see, that's the life I live around here. When it goes well, then it's Jerry. When it's not so good, then it's me.
I understand.
Tongue in cheek, I'm joking.
Oh, no, Stephen, I get it, too. Same thing with me and Kevin here, and then Mike as well. They throw it all at me at the end of the day.
All my general managers, after games that I pitched well, they're like, how did you do that?
Good stuff.
You said several really intriguing things, and you said at the spot y'all are at right now, pick number 24, it's really tough to project what other teams are going to do. I know it can change from year to year, but is there a general spot in the draft, whether it's 5, 8, 10, or wherever, where you're like, it's really tough to project this far down the road how teams are going to pick?
Well, I think once you get into the back half of the round, it gets really difficult. And, a lot of time, every now and then you get the occasional wow. Obviously quarterbacks are always a wild card in terms of how people evaluate them. Obviously it's critical, for franchises that don't necessarily feel like they have one in the mix, might be willing to, reach, or maybe reach is a bad word, or just, find the good qualities and let those outweigh any concerns they have and make a pick. But, once you get into the second half of the round, I think it's very difficult to figure out if you're, to figure out and say, hey, we're beyond a reasonable doubt. I feel like this is how it's going to fall.
I'm always kind of curious, like you have the John Wooden pyramid of success. You have all these different things, hard and fast rules kind of go in. And I know there's always a way to kind of say, well, we can bend that one just a little bit. But when it comes to drafting players, do the Cowboys have a hard and fast rules or a couple of things that you're like, we always stick to this?
Not necessarily. Obviously we've got our foundation as to how we evaluate players, and what a first rounder, what he should do in his first year, what a second rounder should do. We have definitions of, where players, how we would project a player to do in his first year, second year, third year. So, I do think there are those things, but in terms of just hard and fast things that you wouldn't play a little option quarterback, that you don't move things a little here and there, I wouldn't say that that's a set hard and fast.
You had made reference to, it looks like at least y'all have about 14 to 16 first round grades. What's typical for, because we hear about that a lot, what's typical for like second round grades? Do you end up with there like usually 35 to 40, or is it still kind of more limited? How does that usually play out, and how's it looking for this year?
I think as you go, there's more in each round historically. So there's usually more second round grades than there are first round grades. There's usually more third round than seconds, more fourths than thirds, and more fifths than fourths. But fourth and fifth being pretty equal, and then I think it starts to taper back off again. I think then you're starting to be even more, judging even more harder in terms of whether a player should be drafted or be a college free agent. And that's what, our 6th and 7th rounds are.
Now, I've been very adamant about defensive tackle as a valuable spot for me, but I've been curious about the spot for y'all. What is the philosophy on the value of defensive tackle and maybe even this year's defensive tackles? Because there are a couple of interesting players out there.
Yeah, we obviously have a high value on defensive tackles. We do. We're fortunate we've spent some resources between Gallimore, between Tristan, between Osa, and Bohannon. We've drafted some defensive tackles that are on this football team, and then then you've got some, you got some other guys there. But in general, there's two different types of defensive tackles. You got the big tackle, and then you got the three technique. And obviously, Bohannon's more of a, he's more of that big defensive tackle, run stopper type that you have in there on first and second down. And then you got your three technique, which is, the best in the business is Aaron Donald. That can give you pass rush, that can give you, big plays, those type of things, that are in there not only on the first and second, but are, part of your pass rush as well. So there are some really good defensive tackles in this draft, and we're always, looking for depth, looking to improve, and certainly we'll be looking at that. But that defensive front's no different than the offensive front. This is a big man's game, and we're always looking for not only to improve, but for depth and to have numbers because, to get through an NFL season, to work through that, a game in particular, and the defensive front, you certainly, you don't want to have guys getting too many plays. You want to be able to have them fresh in the fourth quarter, so it's important to have the numbers.
Y'all talked about how important the draft is, and I think we certainly understand that. Have you ever gone into a draft feeling like it was more important than in other years? Like with the free agent departures, does this feel like a more important than usual draft?
Oh, I think our draft is stressed, as high as it can be year in and year out. I just think it's your lifeblood. Obviously, your first, the first 4 years of a player's career, they're playing under their draft contract. And, that's so important because you can't just, as I mentioned in there, as much as you'd like to, especially when you draft successfully, you'd like to, continue to give your guys second contracts. But, that's just not how it works. And you have to make some tough decisions along the way, but it's important to, replenish as you move forward with guys that can step up and make a difference.
From Troy Aikman to Patrick Mahomes to Kyler Murray, we saw a lot of people at the Mavs game last night. Has there ever been a celebrity in the box with you guys that you were kind of nervous about or kind of excited to see?
Well, we've had a lot of different guys in our day, a lot of different men and women who are celebrities that are interesting. I guess the most interesting thing was when we opened up AT&T Stadium, and I'm going, boy, this is going to be unique. We had Mayor Giuliani in there when we were opening up the new stadium against the Giants. So I said, this will be interesting, having the mayor of New York in our box and seeing how he reacts as we move forward in the game. So that was pretty unique there, having Mayor Giuliani in the box when we were playing the Giants.
Appreciate the time very much, good sir. We'll catch up with you Friday after the first round of the draft.
Sounds great, guys. Thank you.